My mum brought us up, didn't have any money growing up, eating beans on toast and stuff till I was like 10. You know, I was the kid who didn't have anything. Like other kids had better shoes, better coats and all that than me. And I want to say that fact because not that it's that interesting, but more the fact that if wherever anyone started, it doesn't matter where you started. And you can, like, I haven't been given anything. I haven't been gifted anything. I haven't had no inheritance, no nothing. I haven't had no guidance from anybody up until a few years ago. And you can do whatever you want as long as your mindset's right.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. And we have a very special guest today. Terry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
So we're at your lovely hotel here. Mm-hmm. Very, very nice. And yeah, I did get lost on the way, like you said.
Well, it's in Barnard Castle for anyone who's wondering. The ancient unicorn. I'll plug it nice and early.
Yeah, it's cool. And you've seen there's a lot of history around it.
Yeah, 450 years old. Charles Dickens wrote a book, one of the cottages apparently. 17 bedrooms, 2 houses, and I've got land at the back with planning for more houses. So bar, restaurant, games room, which we're sitting in now. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. And other stuff that we won't mention on the podcast as well.
Yeah, leave it out.
So I'll get you to introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners, if as if you meet someone for the first time and that kind of thing. A bit of an intro. Go for it.
So Terry Blackburn, I'm 34. I've got 4 kids. They're hard work. 11 businesses. Big into fitness, big into business, property. Yeah, I mean, how much do you want? I mean, lots of buy-to-lets, HMOs, the student accommodation, Airbnbs, hotels, bar, restaurant, construction company, letting agency, 2 books, podcast. Probably missing something out. I forget what I do, but yeah, I do quite a bit. So
that's what I was thinking from your LinkedIn as well. I was thinking, how does this guy do all this shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had 4 kids either. So like,
yeah, they're harder than any business, especially now. Fucking hell.
So let's go into the 3 facts then. 3 facts about yourself that you've definitely prepared for.
Yeah, I've definitely prepared. So I didn't know if you wanted funny ones, you wanted personal ones, business ones. So I've got loads of facts, but maybe it's the interesting ones. Well, it depends on what they class as interesting. But probably you've just touched on it actually. Probably one of the most questions that are the most common question I get asked is, how do I do everything that I do all at the same time? So all these businesses, up until last year, I had about 160 staff across everything, alongside being a partner to my missus, alongside being a dad to my kids. I live in Chester and most of my business is on the northeast. So there's a location gap as well. And I get asked, how do I do all of that? And a fact is just, I don't work weekends. I only work late 1 night a week. I finish at generally 4 or 5 o'clock and I take my kids to school every day. And how I actually do that is, there's no magic ingredient or special thing that I do. It's just being ultra structured on my Gmail diary. So my calendar is literally 15-minute blocks all day. I know exactly what I'm doing every single day. Got a great team around us. And probably one of the biggest things that anybody can take away from that is if they want to replicate similar levels of success or they want to do loads of different things, is fitness. If you're not fit, you're not a good leader. You're not a good manager. You're not a good business owner. You're not a good dad or mum. You're not a good partner. Nothing works properly unless you're fit. And that's a fact. One of my facts anyway is if you want to be high performance, and there's definitely people do more than me, by the way. A lot of people do more.
But you do a lot more than me, you know?
But there's levels. Yeah. Right? But the cornerstone in the what's the word? Yeah, the center of all of this is fitness. Because if you're not fit, you're just not your best. We talked about drinking off air there. So if you're hungover and you're rough and you're tired, you're not your best. So that's not a healthy way to live, though, is it? If you're out sessioning every weekend, it's not a good way to live. If you're drinking all the time, smoking all the time, if you're overweight, if you're not healthy, you don't do cardio, you don't do weights, you're not good at anything. And on the flip side of that, if you are healthy and fit, you've got a spring in your step, you've got extra energy, you can do more, achieve more, you think better, make decisions better. So fitness is a big part of it. To-do lists, prioritizing and being ultra structured is how I do everything that I do. So that might be an interesting fact.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. And I think as well, a lot of people these days are obsessed with saying, are you busy? Or I'm so busy, aren't they? But surely the goal isn't to be busy, is it? It's to be able to enjoy your work and then enjoy your free time and your family time as well and stuff.
Definitely.
And you're not busy, you just have priorities, isn't it? Like you people choose to prioritize different things. Like you say, you prioritize your work-life balance. Like you say, work one night late a week and the weekend's off, and then you can make it work. You know what I mean? And still have successful businesses and stuff like that. Whereas other people are like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to see you for half an hour for a coffee and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's just the way of the world. It's like a grind culture now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is this hustle and grind culture. It normally results in either burnout or some form of disruption in your personal life. Like, I know loads of people that have had relationships that have broke down with the partner because they're working too much, or they sacrifice fitness in the pursuit of money and success. When in reality, you're doing yourself out of money and success by not keeping fit. And you can do, it's not one or the other. You can do both at the same time. And you're actually better at business, I believe, if you're fit anyway. So, and then you might say you haven't got time, or, you know, I've got to take the kids to school. I'd have to take the kids to school. So I either get up earlier than them and train before they get up, or sometimes I have to train at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I have to move my work around and do it then, or I have to train late at night. So it can be done, but this hustle and grind culture, I don't think it's healthy. And I definitely done that, by the way. Like, at the start, I've been in business since I was 19. I'm 34 now. Like, at the start, like, I sacrificed everything. Like, probably 19 to 23-ish. Like, all I did was work. But that's not healthy. And yes, I made a shit ton of money, but like, my relationship broke down, wasn't very fit or healthy. I was drinking all the time, like, because I worked so hard that my release was going out with the lads, partying, which isn't good anyway. And a lot of people get into this hustle and grind when they're younger or when they start getting into business. But I think as you develop as a man or a woman or a business owner, you learn that it's not actually all about that.
More to life. And
you don't want to have a heart attack. You don't want to affect your health. Or imagine getting really rich, but then being lonely. What's the point? You've got no one to spend your money with or on. What is the point in money? There's no point in money. So you might as well just try and have the balance now. And that doesn't mean I don't work hard during the day, because I work fucking hard during the day, mate. I can't swear on this. Because I swear all the time. But I can, like, I do have a balance, and yes, I didn't have a balance in the early days, and maybe that got us to where I am. Who knows? But I do think you can have a balance, and you can set your stall out right from the start. And I think you'll have a more fulfilled life. And, you know, if you make 2 million quid instead of 3 or 4 million quid, but you're still really happy at home, then I'd much rather that. Yeah. Imagine having, people will be able to relate to this. If you're doing really, really well at work, right? You've had a fantastic day, you've made loads of sales, or you've onboarded a new client or something, great day. You come back home to chaos, to arguments. It completely takes the shine off your good day, doesn't it? Completely. And you're just like, no. Exactly. So it dampens your success by not having a good home life. So if you've got a good home life, and even if you have an average day, it makes an average day at work better when you come back to a happy home.
You look forward to going, don't you?
Definitely. And then telling your partner about what's happened, it's a better quality of life. And I think this hustle culture is, I don't think it's healthy at all, but people will do it, and they'll say, you know, I work 7 days and I work all, and it's almost bragging. It's an ego thing.
It's like, are you happy really though?
No. And they'll tell you that they are, but deep down are they? And
it's because they work. I feel like it's because they work so much because they've got nothing to go home for or nothing to look forward to, isn't it? And that's their release, and that's their way of justifying themselves, thinking, I am happy because I'm working all the time. But yeah, second fact.
I grew up in Throckley. I was trying to weave in a northeast thing. So I grew up in Throckley, which
I have no idea what it is, whereabouts is that?
You probably won't know, but it's not the nicest part of Newcastle, put it that way. Grew up in a block of flats. You know, I didn't have any money. My mum brought us up. Didn't have any money growing up. Eating beans on toast and stuff till I was like 10. You know, I was the kid who didn't have anything. Like, other kids had better shoes, better coats and all that than me. And I want to say that fact because, not that it's that interesting, but more the fact that if wherever anyone started, it doesn't matter where you started. And you can, like, I haven't been given anything. I haven't been gifted anything. I haven't had no inheritance, no nothing. I haven't had no guidance from anybody up until a few years ago. And you can do whatever you want as long as your mindset's right. And I did have something in me. I wanted to, maybe it's because I didn't have anything. I always wanted to have something. And that maybe's molded me a little bit into who I am today. But I just want to say that fact because you might be thinking, you might not be thinking like, this guy's got a lot of money and he's doing really well. And, you know, I am, I suppose that's relative, but like, it hasn't always been this way. Up until 18, 19, I was in with the wrong crowd, bad, very, very close to going down the wrong path. Drugs, drink, crime, and all sorts of stuff. I didn't get arrested for anything, luckily. But I was in with the wrong people. Yeah, and I made it. So hopefully that's a little bit of inspiration for anybody's listening. Doesn't matter where you started.
Yeah, that's cool. What do you think it was in you then that wanted more? I suppose like as a kid, you always want the nice things and you train in your football boots and that kind of thing. But like, why do you think you wanted that?
I think it was a little bit of envy of other kids. Like when we used to come back from the 6-week holidays, they'd been on holiday to wherever. No, I hadn't. And they had, I was a bit of a chav back in the, so they had the Rockports, and I eventually got Rockports. In the mirror peaks in the stripy jumpers and all that. And I did have some of that, but obviously other kids had better ones. And I did start, you don't know what you don't know, right? And at a certain age, like I didn't realize that we didn't have any money. I just, because you don't know, do you? You don't understand these things. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really know. And then I got to a stage where I was starting to think, well, why have they got more than me? Why are they going to these places? Why can they go to this place and I can't? And then I just built up like a little bit of envy. I wanted those things. And then you start to learn about money in school, teaches you nothing about money, as you know, nothing about careers, entrepreneur, nothing. You don't get it from there. So I don't know exactly, I can't pinpoint this is why I was like that, but I think it was because I wanted to do something. I mean, my next fact is well, yeah, I'll say that what I was going to say on the next fact, because it does link to this, but
just say it now if you want. Link it in. Yeah.
So I was a builder, 16 to 19.
Oh, okay.
And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. These hands are far too soft.
I was going to say, I could never be a builder either. He's just too soft. Yeah.
But I mean, I hated it. I hated every single part of being a builder. And the reason I was a builder was my mum told us you need a trade. Okay. And when I finished school, I was the naughty kid. I was getting suspended, taking drugs, being a nightmare. I was taking drugs at like 12, bad. It was crazy.
Definitely in the wrong crowd, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Literally taking drugs for school. It was mental. But then, because I was so naughty and I failed everything. Didn't even get a GCSE. It was all using, not one. And bear in mind, I'm a financial...
That's an achievement in itself.
And I'm a financial advisor. I ran, which I sold last year, my main business, which is a financial advisory business. So dealing with people's finances, you know, you've got to be good at maths. Yeah. You know, and I failed maths. I failed everything.
That's crazy.
But going back to my point of being a builder, I was kind of forced into it because my mum said, you need a trade. So that's what I done. And there was something in us then. I remember specifically, because I was an apprentice, right? And the apprentice, like, you've got to make the tea and you've got to make the coffee and you've got to go and pick that wood up from there and take it over there. No stupid shit. The worst jobs, it's raining, you've got to carry like stupid, you know, boards of plywood and stuff in the rain. Horrific.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
Oh, mate, it was brutal and I hated it. But my point that I'm getting to is, even then, I used to say to the lads who I was working with, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm not going to be doing joinery forever. Yeah, we said that.
Yeah, chatting shit.
We said that. Yeah, of course you are. Look at it, and they all had metal elbows, dodgy knees, and like bad, all hobbling around like this.
Fucked, yeah.
Yeah, because building does take its toll on your body, whether you like it or not. It does.
I think it's only good in the summer when it's sunny and you can work with your top off. But apart from that, that's
and the banter was good. I did miss the banter when I got into sales at 19. But my point was, I just like maybe it was. Obviously, the upbringing definitely played a part in who I am, but then being a builder and hating your life so much, and I was never depressed. Touch wood, I've never had any mental health issues. Pretty strong up there, I think. But when I was a builder, I used to get to a Sunday, and whether it was because I was drinking all the time on the weekend and Sunday I was depressed or down anyway, but I was getting to a point of like, I was dreading Monday because I knew I had to get 2 metros in a bus just to get a site to do something that I hated, to get paid pennies, to then have to travel back, and I had no life on the night time because I was so exhausted when I got home. But I think that molded me to who I am today as well, because I don't want to ever have to do anything like that. I wanted to get into money and start making money, and I had it in us then. I used to say it to people, and people used to think I was a bit mad, like, why, how are you going to be a millionaire? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And I just had it in us.
You don't know at the time though, but you know at the same time, don't you? Yeah, it's weird.
Definitely.
So what did you want to be when you were growing up then? What, like, was it obviously not a builder?
I had no aspirations. I literally did not know, honestly. And I I wanted to do, I just knew I wanted to make money and I wanted to have a better quality of life than I had.
Yeah.
That was definitely something, but I wasn't like, I wanted to be this, I wanted to be that.
Because like you were saying about school, I say it a lot, but it's a hard decision at 16 or 18 to ask a child, what do you want to do, or what do you want to be, or what career path do you want to go on? Because you don't have a fucking clue, do you? Like I was saying to you earlier that I did hospitality management at uni and stuff, and I don't do that now because for me, I just went to buy some time to figure out what I wanted to do and grow up a bit. But yes, it's interesting all the different paths of if it's go to uni and just figure it out. Because a lot of people don't even use the degrees now, or just go out and earn some money, isn't it? And work it out yourself. So why did you be a builder at 16 apart from your mum saying you needed a trade? How did that come about?
It was just literally my mum said, you need a trade. You're going down the wrong path. You need to get a job. And if she didn't say that, I would have been getting up to no good, probably making money illegally. I would have. That's the way I was. And I don't know, as I was told, and I do have a good work ethic and I've still got that today. It's getting stronger, actually, the work ethic side. But I still didn't miss a day at work. Although I hated it, I still done it. But there was nothing. I mean, a lot of my mates at the time went to be builders as well. So it was kind of like, well, they're doing it, so I might as well do it as well. Yeah. And it was literally just make your money until Friday, go out on the lash on Friday, spend all of your money, and then start again. Yeah. And it was just in this vicious cycle. Vicious cycle, mad path that you go down. And some people, unfortunately, never get out of that. Yeah. They're doing it now. Like I've got mates who are still doing it now, who are still out every single weekend, still partying, still drinking, still spending all the money. Probably, they're either renting or they're not on the, haven't got their own house, or they're just living in the same place, doing the same thing, probably with the same car. Like it's there's more to life than that. Yeah. But unless they either think people like me and you, or maybe he's lucky, fortunate, or they just don't think they could do it. They don't think they could set up their own thing. So they limit themselves and they just keep doing what they're doing. And before they know it, they're 50 years old and it's too late anyway.
I think that people don't understand how money works though. Like,
no, not at all. Because it's not taught at school.
Nah, that's what I mean. I feel like at school, it's obviously GCSEs, A-levels, uni, get a job, and then you're paid for your time, aren't you? Whereas really, if you're paid for your time, you're never really going to be rich or successful, quote unquote, in whatever way you want to define it. But if you bring yourself out of that and you think, how does the world actually work, and how does money actually work? And you think that it's not actually that hard to make a living for yourself. No, I don't think anyway.
Not at all.
If you're switched on enough and you can understand it. But
100%.
At 19 then for you, what flipped that switch and you thought, fuck this, I need to make a change?
This is another moment I'll always remember. Everyone's got moments that you just remember really clearly.
I thought it might be.
For me was, I'd been out from Thursday till Sunday, no sleep.
What, like bank holiday or something? No.
I don't even think it was a bank holiday. I think it was just me being in Knobhead, drinking all the time, partying with the lads. Yeah. Went to the boat. Remember the boat? The Tuxedo Princess at the time. And it was a revolver dance floor. It was horrific. Full of drugs and all that. And I remember looking in the mirror and like my face was all sucked in. I looked ill. Oh. And I was dead skinny. I just looked ill. And I remember looking in the mirror thinking like, what am I doing here? And maybe it's because you're on a come down from whatever you're taking. And I remember looking thinking, no. Like I've always thought I'm going to do something. This can't continue. So I changed my number, and weirdly, I think it was about a week to 2 weeks after that, I got made redundant as a joiner. So I didn't get any money though. It was just the end of my apprenticeship. Terry, you're a crap joiner.
You're not getting a job.
You're not getting a job. See you later. So I cut ties with that group of friends because I made a conscious decision that I'm going to better myself. Didn't have no clue I was going to get into sales or do what I'd done at this point. I just I'm not doing this no more. I'm going to stop the drink. I'm going to stop the drugs and all that. Cut ties with these certain people. And then I got made redundant. And that was like, what am I going to do now? And then I made up a CV, completely blagged it. And I sent it to loads of companies and I got a sales job. And then within 2 weeks, the second week, maybe it's even done the first, definitely the first or second week of that sales job, I made more in a week than I did in a month as a joiner. And I was like, this is for me, this. To see him again the week after, sold my tools. And I'm never going back to being a joiner. And at that point, I felt like I had a purpose, probably for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm good at. I can use my voice and my brain and my personality instead of my hands. I can make a load more money. And because there was people, I was 19 at this stage, in financial services, selling life insurance, an industry dominated by 40 to 50-year-old blokes. I was the young kid. And then, and again, maybe I don't know if it was ego, I don't know what it was. I remember probably like a month in, going up to the top salespeople in the company saying, I'm going to beat you. And everyone was like, what are you talking about?
Who's this kid?
Yeah, who's this young kid? And I looked proper young, clean shaved. I looked about 15. And I was like, I'm going to be the biggest in this industry ever. And people were just thinking I was fucking mental. But I just said, right, that's what I'm going to do. And I just had it in as that I'm going to go for it. That kind of went from there.
So was it just like at 90? Because that's the one thing that I kind of wish I did when I was younger, is going to sales. Because I've never like been taught sales and that kind of thing. I've always just had to kind of work it out myself, you know what I mean? And I think I'm a better marketer than salesman. But I think it's the most important skill you can learn, isn't it?
Definitely.
And like at 19, if you're learning that, you know what I mean? That's invaluable and that sets you up, doesn't it?
100%.
So then how did things kind of kick on then when you were saying that you're going to be the best and the biggest salesman in the whole entire world?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't the biggest in the world ever, but I was the top in that company. And then I got headhunted for another American company called MetLife. So in New York, you see the MetLife building, which is the big in all the movies. So I was the youngest ever sales manager in MetLife Europe's history. So I had about 50 people working for us when I was like 22, 23. And I loved everything about it. This was the point where I was just working mad hours because I went all in. You know, I was making 80, 90 grand when I was 19. You know what like? I was like this, but then I started to buy property with it. But if we focus on the sales side, I just loved everything about it. And I think when I look back and try to analyze why I did so well at sales, I remember because this was door knocking, right? Door knocking, selling life insurance. It's not like there's nothing even there, no product. You're selling the concept of if you die, your wife or your partner and your kids need the money. So it's but a young kid trying to talk about death.
You're selling yourself though, aren't you really, isn't it?
Yeah. But people also, a lesson in that is people buy people.
Yeah.
So I worked for Combined Insurance Company of America first. Then I worked for MetLife Europe. And then I set up my own business. All of that was selling life insurance. The products at Combined Insurance were terrible. They were a little bit better at MetLife. And then they were better when I set up my own business. But I still sold loads of volume in each of those companies. But it's because they're buying me.
Yeah.
People buy people.
Yeah.
And the product to a degree doesn't matter that much. It obviously matters. And if you've got a better product, you're going to sell more. Yeah. But people buy people. And if I used to smile, you know, and some of it was maybe's, thinking back was like, the maybe's felt a little bit sorry for the young kid knocking on the doors, but I wasn't bothered.
He'd put food on his table.
Yeah, but I was literally up at 6. I was literally out the door at 6 and I was coming back at 10 o'clock every night. And I'd done that for 7 days for honestly 2 or 3 years. And looking back, I was smashing Monster Energies, Red Bulls, and I just grafted. And I knew, and I remember thinking, I'll just work twice as much as everyone else to get the same results.
Yeah.
But then when I got as skilled as the other people and I still work twice as much, then I'm doing double.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, it just went through the roof and I was making a lot of money and I loved everything about it. I loved it.
I was going to say, that's the thing that I say to loads of business owners is, if you're coming up with a new product or service, you're going to be a billionaire, aren't you? But realistically, every business is the same shit as somebody else, isn't it? Like a Rolex is a Rolex if you're selling a Rolex, isn't it? If you're selling digital marketing, it's the same, hotel, whatever. But like the one differentiating factor is like you, isn't it? So like you say, when you're selling yourself, when you got life insurance, the same companies within the same kind of products and services, but people go to you for you, don't they? Because it could go to anybody else within reason. Same with me, my business. Anyone could go to different people for my business. Like you can do. There's people better than me. There's people worse than me. But that's the one thing that we try and do is put your faces out there.
Definitely.
And show people, because people like you for whatever reason, don't they?
100%.
Whatever, you've got friends, you've got family that like you. So if you put that out there for the world to see, more people will like you. Not everyone's going to like you, unfortunately. Yeah. Unless, apart from me and you, obviously.
Yeah.
So then, did you always want to have your own business then?
Someone asked us this the other day on the podcast, and I don't think I did. It was, I must admit, at the start, it was solely money driven. I just wanted to make as much money as physically possible. And then when I was at MetLife, I got to a stage of like, I was held back. I had loads of ideas, although I had 50 people working for us, which is crazy when I think back at 22 years old. It's mental. But I could only have those people working for us because I was so successful at sales, because I led from the front. But
lead by example kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't think I want to have my own business. I got to a stage where I kept putting ideas to MetLife that I wanted to do, and I knew they would work, and I knew I could bring in more business. I knew I could recruit more, develop more, grow more, but I was kept being prevented from doing that because I couldn't make the decisions. Because although I was self-employed, by the way, this is self-employed commission only. So if I didn't sell, I didn't get paid all the way through that.
That's like having your own business anyway, isn't it?
But yeah, exactly. It pretty much is. Yeah, I was self-employed, sole trader still. But yeah, it was just a case of like, right, they're stopping me going to the next level and making more money, right? And I looked at options, right? I could set up my own business. I can actually get more products, which means I can give a better service to customers and get more commission. So it was just the natural next step for me to set up Bespoke. So Bespoke Financial was the first business I set up when I was 24, and I exited that last year at 33 and did really well off it. But yeah.
What was it like then setting up?
I took it in my stride. I must be honest, I didn't struggle with it. Because I was kind of doing the same thing already. I was already selling life insurance, and I was just selling life insurance under my own brand. And then we got Aviva, Zurich, Legal in General, all the mainstream insurance companies. We got them on our panel so we could use their products. So it was an easy transition for me. Yeah. I still made loads of mistakes. Like I was recruiting people on looks and all sorts, like recruiting ex-strippers and stuff. Yeah, mate, I had a bit of a mad few years.
The thing is, you've got to make mistakes, haven't you? Yeah. I think it's important. Because
you learn from them, don't you?
That's what I mean. Yeah. The only mistake you make that's a bad one if it's the same one you make twice. You know what I mean? As long as you learn from it, it's sound. Because like if you don't make any mistakes, you think you're fucking smashing it and that, and then when things go wrong, you think, oh,
it's the end of the world. Yeah.
What the fuck? I thought I was class.
Yeah.
So then, how did things kind of kick on from then? After you'd set up and you were cracking on, obviously you'd made the mistakes of recruiting strippers.
Yeah. So it took off, to be honest. Like, year one, I think we did about 300 grand, and it went up pretty much every year. You know, when it exit, we're doing a couple of million a year. So it was doing fantastic. It just went strength to strength to strength. Then we added in mortgages. So we started doing mortgages for clients. Then we did will writing services for clients. We used to refer pensions. We used to do home insurance. We just kept adding to the product suite so we could give customers more, ultimately make more money.
One-stop shop kind of thing.
Yeah. And we had 120 sales staff in the end. My business is still running now. My mates run it still. I'm just not involved. So it went really, really good. I set up loads of other businesses along the way. So I set up another mortgage brokers, which exited as well, called the Mortgage Genie. So I did loads, but that business gave me the money to do property. And if you asked me when I was 24, when I set it up, would I sell? I would have said no chance. I loved it that much. But as I'd done it 8-9 years, and my eyes were distracted a little bit because I was setting up these businesses and buying properties which produce more income. Then I was coaching people and doing all these other things, and like, there's only so much you can do. And I'm not going to eat into my personal time with my missus and my family, anything. So it kind of just developed into buying more property, and then the property started to produce huge amounts of money. And then I was kind of like, someone's got to give. So then I decided it was the right thing to do to get out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. So property then, did you ever think you were going to go into property, or what kind of got you into that then? Because obviously it's different to the financial service industry.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I never thought I'm going to be a property investor or different. Again, it wasn't in as that. I don't know why I started to buy property. Well, I kind of do. When I was 20, I bought my first house, and I was making all this money selling life insurance. After I did a little bit of that and party and living the dream, think that was the big goal. But like, I've got this money here, I should really be doing something with it. I shouldn't really be spunking all of it. So I started to buy low value properties, made loads of mistakes, like horrific. I bought one at auction that I hadn't seen before, and it was a wreck. I had someone, well, I don't actually know exactly what happened, but I think it was an attempted murder in the property. I had break-ins, I had drug dealers in there. Mate, honestly, I made some bad mistakes because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't educate myself. I hadn't read any books on it. I hadn't listened to any podcasts on it. I didn't have a coach or a mentor, nothing. I just thought, I've got some money. I'm going to buy some really cheap properties.
What, do them up yourself then, or?
Yeah, well, I was doing a little bit of the work. I was a terrible joiner.
Didn't even trust yourself.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No. I don't even have pictures now. I'm useless. But yeah, I just thought it's a good place to put my money. And then I bought really low value ones. Then I got into a bit nicer sort of my first ever one, by the way, was 14 grand. 14 grand in Ease It and Colliery, place in Durham. And then I bought 3 or 4 of those. And then I went into like buy to let 100-ish grand. Then I went into the HMOs, which is your student accommodation where you rent it out per room.
They'll be good.
Yeah, do really well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like when I was at uni and you think, I'm spending 400, 500 quid a month per room, and there's 5 us in here, making a fucking fortune.
Yeah, it's good money, but there's a lot of hassle with that. I've had tenants drinking each other's milk, arguing about cereal. I've had people walk into the wrong room and got into bed with somebody else when they were drunk. I've had loads of mad stuff happening in property. A whole wanted auction blind. This is a funny story. So I went to this auction. I went to bid on one property and I got outbid. So I offered another one and ended up getting it, which I'd never seen before. So got the keys and it was like a U-shape, this street. I drove down this side of the U and all the houses either side were boarded up, right? All of them got around the bend, gypsies at the bottom with caravans, horses, burnt out cars and all that. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Round the bend, and then mine was there, which is the only one that wasn't boarded up. And there was like it was metal boarded up with bars and everything on the
Where was it?
Just outside of Blythe.
Oh yeah, Blythe.
So yeah, a place called East Sleekburn is where I always remember. Walked in, I cut a long story short, walked in, there was birds like poo or whatever it was, or dog poo all over the place, disgusting. Walked through the kitchen, I was like this, covering my nose. And I looked, this is no joke, I looked in the back garden and it wasn't like you could access the garden from elsewhere. It was like a terrace. So there was fenced either side.
Yeah.
There was a horse tied to the fence in the back garden. Like
an animal horse.
Yeah, a horse, an alive horse, which was like all skinny, look ill and everything. I was like, what have I done?
Did that come with the house?
But it was gone about 2 weeks later. The gypsies probably got, I have no clue. But yeah, I made some horrific mistakes.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I just didn't know what I was doing. And the lesson in that is read books, listen to podcasts and get a mentor. Or just, you don't have to pay for a mentor if you don't want to, if you haven't got the money. Educate yourself for free. You can get loads on YouTube. I mentor people, but you can do a lot of it for free. Depends on your situation and your position financially. But I could have avoided lots of mistakes by educating myself.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. I feel like a lot of people, especially like successful people, will give you like free advice if you ask them a question, won't they? If you say, I'm thinking about this, what do you think about this? Or blah, blah, blah. And they will help you out here and there and stuff like that. Because the thing is, ask a question. If they say no, what's the worst they're going to say? They're going to say no, isn't it? And if they help you, great. And that kind of thing, which is quite cool. So the property thing then, I'm interested in that. So how did you kind of learn then? Was it just literally self-education, or did you have like a specific mentor or what kind of thing?
I mean, I only took on a mentor about 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had 40-ish properties by that point, so I did quite a lot. But yeah, the book that got me, I'll always remember, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. Everyone talks about this book. But that, honestly, if you summarize that book, or my summary of that book is, not always working for money, exchanging your time for money, which was what most people do in an employed role, even self-employed role. You do something in order to get paid an hourly rate, daily rate, salary, whatever. You're exchanging your time for money. That book is about putting your money to work so your money works for you and produces more money. And I was like, that was like light bulb. I was like, what? Right, this is something here. And he's got like 5,000 property or something, that guy hasn't either wrote it. And then I started to get a bit obsessed with learning and reading about these people in America who are doing thousands of properties. I was like, this is like a whole new world. I didn't understand. I didn't know anything about this. But you got to remember, like when I was 20 to 14 years ago, like I don't even know if YouTube was about that. I can't remember watching it.
It wasn't as big as it was now.
And it wasn't like now you go on Instagram or anywhere and property education's everywhere, business education's everywhere. There's a million coaches, half of them are skint, and like you can get loads of coaching on all sorts for free or paid. It wasn't that, and I remember finding this book and I've uncovered like some magic here, like something like a secret that people don't know about. And I was wow, and then I was just full in obsessed, earned as much money as I could from the businesses and ploughed all into properties.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's how it kind of started.
Because I think I only realised that a few years ago. So when I first started out, I did events business, like nightclub events, and then went into the marketing. And me and my business partner at the time were trying to do everything ourselves. You know what I mean? So we'd have the highest profit margins possible. And then when I set up my own in lockdown, I realized that the service we were providing could be better. And also I could have more time. So just employ people who are better at the thing or who are close to the thing, and then frees up my time to earn more money. Because you've only got, say if you work 40 hours a week, you've only got 40 hours in a week. But if you can have other people in your team, give them the thing, then frees you up more time to have the higher generating tasks.
And high value
and,
tasks.
yeah, 100%. And generating sales or managing clients or whatever it may be, and that kind of thing. Because I listened to the audio. Did you read it or audiobook?
Which dad?
Yeah,
both. I've done the.
I don't like reading. I can't concentrate. I get agitated. I listened to it though. That's the kind of same takeaway that I thought. Well. Obviously not with property.
I mean, I must admit, I used to read it a lot more than I do now, but every day, honestly, and even weekends, even if it's just when I'm in the shower, I'll put a podcast on or an audiobook. Like, it's every single day. And that's a lesson in itself for anyone listening. If you want to be high performance, or even if you're doing really well financially now, your business is doing really well now, don't think for 1 second that you can just keep going at the same rate that you're going at, because your competition is always snapping at your heels, and there's always somebody younger who's got more energy or who's more skilled or is more intelligent or more whatever than you. They're always snapping at your heels. So if you don't keep self-developing and listening to self-development and audio and perfecting your craft and learning new stuff, you're not going to stay the same. You're going to go backwards and you're going to decrease, because your competition's good and people are raising the bar constantly. So you've always got to sharpen your saw, keep sharpening that saw with self-development. And that's how I live my life. And I honestly, unless something drastically changes, unless I become like a sell-up for a couple of billion quid, I can't see that ever changing, because I actually do really love it. I love learning a new skill. Like, if you look at all my different businesses, although a lot of them have got links to each other, like hotels and hospitality is completely different than just buying property.
Yeah.
Financial services is completely different to hospitality. Letting agency is different. Like, they're quite different, but what I do is, before I set up a new business, I learn about it. I study it. I don't just read a book or listen to I'll try and study, although I failed everything. But maybe actually quite good at school if I studied the way I study now. I wasn't interested in volcanoes and fucking Bunsen burners and that nonsense.
So irrelevant though, I think.
Have you ever used a Bunsen burner?
Oh, every day. Every day.
I've never seen a volcano neither. I've never looked at tectonic plates and all that nonsense.
But I think it's just off topic, but yes, education, it's a memory test, isn't it? And why do you need to remember stuff when you can just Google it or chat GPT, like whatever?
How good is
that
AI? But as well as that, you're penalised for helping others or looking at or copying, that you're penalised for that.
Yeah.
It's cool, whereas in reality, half businesses, you just copy someone that's doing it successfully and you put your own spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, I feel like a lot of people, when you say about self-education, when they finish actual school education, it's the same with exercise, isn't it? You exercise your muscles to work out, to feel better and getting bigger or stronger or to last longer. Whereas a lot of people stop exercising the brain, don't they? That's what I mean. Like, if you leave school at 16, 18, 21, uni, and then you don't listen to podcasts, read books or listen to audiobooks or whatever, then you're not going to improve it. You're not going to get better. You're not going to be sharp because you're not exercising your brain, which is probably the most important muscle. And like you're saying about the fitness as well, I think fitness is most important for my mental more than the physical.
100%.
Even though it's important physical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for me mentally, like if I don't go to the gym for like 2 days, I feel more tired, more lethargic. And I'm like, fuck, I need to go to the gym. You know what I mean?
Grumpy, miserable, snap at people.
Yeah.
Like 3 days, normally day 3 for me. If I haven't, day 3 is like,
I can go 2 days without going, but then like you say, the third day, I'm like, I'm fucked.
I'm the same, 100%.
So then 11 businesses, people probably ask you all the time, but like, how do you allocate your time to the different ones? You say your schedule's pretty regimented and that kind of thing. Obviously, I'd imagine you've got a good team around you, but it must take time and a lot of energy to build that team, the trust as well that you must have in those people who are running them businesses, because they're your babies at the end of the day, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's definitely not. I mean, business is a much better ROI than property, and that's because it's harder. And managing staff and people will always be in my opinion, will always be the hardest part about any business, because there's a lot of moving parts of staff. But if you looked at it, like last year, there was 160 odd staff across everything that I've got. It's impossible for me to manage that many people. You can't manage 100 odd people yourself. It's impossible. So what you have to do is you have to build a core team. So I've got PA, ops manager. I've got key members of staff in each business. So I manage them, then they manage the people underneath them. And it's just about we follow I try and make business as simple as possible. And what we simply do is every Monday, have a meeting with my key members of staff and we plan for the week ahead. It's as simple as that. We'll say, right, what happened last week? And what have we got on the agenda for this week? What needs to be done this week? obviously we'll discuss any issues as well, because there's always issues, always firefighting to do. But we'll discuss what the plan is, and then a check-in on a Wednesday, which is just a focus. So meetings on the Monday, check-in Wednesday, a couple of phone calls. How are we getting on? Have you done this? Have you done that? Why not? Why about this? Why didn't we do that? Friday checkout. And it's definitely not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's very stressful and it's full on, and I work a lot, and there's times I get really stressed, and there's times anyone who says that business is just a breeze and easy and they make it maybe look easy on social media, it's not true. Yeah. Complete lies. It's very difficult. It's very stressful, and it's not for everybody.
No.
And you don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. Like, although it might be portrayed to be that way on social media, like, you don't have to do that. It's fine to work for someone else and be a number 2 or a number 3. And you can still make a lot of money. But back to the question, that's how I kind of do it. I manage my key members of the team. I check in. I do Monday. It's WIP. We call it work in progress. On a Monday, check in Wednesday, check out Friday. And we do that every single week. And that you've got to give your team responsibility. And this is one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is giving up the control, because a lot of people are control freaks and they want to, but they'll never do it as good as me, but they don't have to. I
struggled with that as well. Yeah. And when you give that away, you think, fucking hell, you're probably better than me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you get people who are better than you at certain things, that's when you really win. And another point on that is you've got to, like, as an entrepreneur at the start, I did this, like when I was recruiting administrators, for example, in the mortgage business, it was like, get them as cheap as possible. But you get what you pay for. If you get them as cheap as possible on minimum wage, they're going to be shit. It's not that good. I was being careful what I said there. But they're normally not going to be that good. So certainly for key members of staff, you've got to pay well. That doesn't mean you've got to pay them fortunes, because you've got to watch your cash flow. And it doesn't mean you pay them fortunes day one. Something you've got to go through the reps. Like at the gym, you've got to go through, because you can't go and employ someone on 50 grand when you're starting off in day one, because you're going to struggle cash flow wise. You've got to build up. And if you want to get think about the likes of, I don't know, Amazon, Netflix, all these big companies, like what their CEOs and COOs are on fortunes, because you need to pay well to have a huge business that's really, really doing well. You need good people. And if you want the good people, you've got to pay. It's as simple as that. And you've got to manage them. You've got to give them responsibility, let go of certain things, and do the best you can, and keep, like, read books. If you want to build a team, read books on recruitment, read books on management, like read books on structure. Everything's available. There's always someone who's done what you want to do and who's more skilled and more experienced in what you want trying to achieve. So just copy them. One spin on it. Yeah,
because I think the thing that I want to ask you about is, how do you find people that you can trust, or how have you found, like, recruiting people that you can trust? Because obviously they're key roles, aren't they, in the businesses? Say with me, I've only got like a small team, there's only like 4 of us, and it's quite easy for me to manage a small team like that. But if you've got 160 people and you've got key people in those positions, how did you find that transition from, like, obviously not being able to have everybody that you know and you can rely on, kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard one, because I think everybody has a little bit of that in them at the start. I think everybody doesn't trust people, because when you're paying a salary or you're paying them, it changes the dynamic of that relationship straight away, doesn't it? Because you're like, well, I'm paying them, I want to make, but you've got to just, through the reps of doing it, they'll never care as much as you.
Yeah.
They'll never be as good. Well, to a degree, some people obviously will, but it is quite hard to find that balance. And when you're inexperienced in business, you're not going to recruit the person that's been doing it 25 years, because they're going to look down on you and think, well, how would it work for them? You've got to kind of go through the mud a little bit to get to the field, kind of thing. So, and you've got to just learn that I trust people, but verify. Certainly at the start, I trust but verify. So as in, trust them to do a task, but check that they've done the task.
Yeah.
And once you've checked enough and you've learned that they'll do it anyway. So once you've trusted them and you've given them a task and you've checked if they've done the task, and and you don't tell them that you're checking, you just keep checking, right? And over time, if you've checked enough and they always do what they say they're going to do, then you can build them the trust.
Yeah.
So always give them trust, but verify. And then eventually you'll get to the trust stage. And then once you build a good team, Richard Branson says a fantastic quote, which always stuck with me. I had this on the wall in one of the businesses, actually, was train people so they're good enough to leave but treat them good enough so they never will.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to do that because I give them every bit of training I could possibly give them, and I try and help them be the best version of them in their role that they can be. So they could easily leave, but I treat them well enough so they won't. And people still leave, don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
And, people still screw you over, and I still get it wrong. People mess you around. People lie to you. In interviews, I don't even see the point in interviews half the time because they just tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Half of them, they just absolutely lie and they tell you, I'll do this and they don't, or I've done this before and they haven't.
Yeah.
But this is the joys of business and dealing with people.
Yeah, because when I found that I gave the trust and the responsibility and they're able to make decisions for themselves and be able to just do it, and like you say, just check the work and be like, oh yeah, that's good. And it empowers people, doesn't it? And think, oh, I'm making this decision, or it's my idea. Like you were saying, when you were younger, you felt like you were being held back at MetLife because you couldn't do the ideas that you were saying.
Yeah, it was hard going, mate. It was really hard. I mean, Bespoke had about 120, and then the glamping site, obviously this place, bar, restaurant. So in total, it was like 160 across everything. Yeah, it was hard going, mate. It doesn't get easier, but there's kind of like, once I had a sales trainer, it was the main point of contact for a lot of the sales team, and then I had team leaders. So like, I wasn't, towards the end, mate, I was doing a Monday motivation, which we used to do this big meeting, and I used to G everyone up, and I kind of didn't really deal with half of them, mate. So it was kind of, but you have to go through the like I said, the trenches, and you've got to go through all the shit. And at one point I was managing like 50, 60 sales staff directly. I don't know how the fuck I was doing it, to be quite honest. It was full on.
We always have technical problems on this podcast, but we are. Terry, right. You're a busy man. Let's wrap this up. So, what are the plans moving forward then? Because obviously you've exited the financial business. Was it last year, did you say?
Yeah.
And then moving forward, what's the plans? What's the plans?
So a big focus of mine at the moment is, I've noticed, certainly from my research, there's no real sales expert, sales trainer in the UK at the moment. Loads of American guys, isn't there? Grant Cardone's, Hormozy and all them. But I want to become the top sales expert, sales trainer in the UK.
Yeah.
I've recruited hundreds of people over the years, trained hundreds of people, made millions of pounds all from sales. So I'm building a sales course, which is actually launching next week, like a online course. And then I'm going to launch that into working with businesses to grow their sales teams, look at how to increase sales, working with marketing companies, just basically being the guy that can help you increase your sales. Because I think in troubled times like we're in right now, recession's coming, everything costs more, interest rates are higher. People need to sell more to survive. So I've been doing sales for 15 years. So I want to really take ownership of that space. So loads of content, loads of courses, free content as well as paid. And I want to become that man. So that's one of my big focuses right now.
Yeah.
I've just got the hotels, got bars, restaurants, got the letting agency, got a construction business. So there's all those businesses are still running. But I want to really dominate that space. And that's a big focus right now.
It's exciting, yeah. And then what do you reckon your greatest strength is and your greatest weakness?
Greatest strength is definitely sales. No, because just on that point, one last thing is like, we have literally sold, like we were breaking records. We broke our own records multiple times in life insurance sales. We were doing 1,100 new customers per month, cold calling and self-generated leads in the UK, which has never been done before. And we're broken at 700, then 800, then 1,000, and then 1,100 we were doing in the end. And I'd trained these people. I was getting people who were chefs, never done sales before, training them up, and they're making 100 grand year ones, selling life insurance, personal trainers, administrators, what else do I have? Hairdressers, builders. I was training because I do know how to sell and I know how to teach people how to sell.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I won't go on about that anymore. But yeah, so I love everything about sales and I'm really good at it, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my strength. My weakness, I'll probably say I've got a habit of taking too much on because I don't want to say shiny penny syndrome as in always looking at the next thing, but I have been guilty of that in the past. I've been setting up business after business after business after thing, out new buy all these properties, and sometimes not looking sideways and not looking backwards to the stuff I've already got. So I'm always focused on the next thing. And I've learned since probably last year is it's not always about excuse me, although you've always got to keep progressing, like you don't have to go a million miles an hour. You don't have to keep setting up business after business after business to get to where you want to be financially. You can really, and I've always still made the businesses profitable. All my businesses are profitable and they do really well. But I think if I focused on them a little bit more before going into the next thing, I could have made them even better. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely got that as a weakness. But one thing I suppose it's a strength is you've got to be self-aware enough to realize your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And if you can become self-aware enough to self-analyze and self-critique yourself regularly, you can spot your own blind spots and you can spot the holes and you can spot the bits that you need to fix. Because a lot of people aren't self-aware enough to do that. A lot of people are stuck in the ways and they do things a certain way. And that's why they do the same things all the time and get the same results.
Yeah. It's like Einstein's got that saying, isn't it? You do the same stuff over and over again, you expect a different result, you're an idiot, basically.
Definitely. And you've got to try and be honest with yourself. Actually because entrepreneurs are typically entrepreneurial and optimistic. So we look at the cup half full thing. We're always making the best is going to happen. But all the time it's not.
No, that's always the worst.
It's not. It's sometimes the worst. Sometimes it's in the middle, innit?
Yeah.
So you've got to try and discipline yourself to just be honest with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and think, right, well, is this actually working this business? Sometimes you might have to shut one down. Is this staff member really worth keeping? Is it worth pursuing this avenue for much longer? Just be honest with yourself. Don't think too optimistically, but don't think too pessimistically either. Just be honest. And if you can get at that stage and you're honest with yourself, you can make better decisions anyway. And it's not always about grow. It's sometimes about keeping I don't want 160 staff ever again.
Yes.
I might end up doing that, mate. But I might eat my words there. But currently I don't want any. That's why education and sales training, I don't need a large team. So that for me is easier to manage. It's still high value, it's high profit, and I enjoy it, and I can make a difference. So that's something I want to be involved in. But I'm if you looked at me 5 years ago, it was more staff.
Yeah.
Bigger office.
For the ego kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit of ego in there, definitely. There was a little bit of, I just knew that more people meant more money and more growth and more awards. I've won awards in Iceland, Berlin, Krakow. I've won them all over the world. I think I've won 15 awards. Yeah, I do forget them all because I'm always drunk with all of them. But for the growth, and obviously that's a bit addictive.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of an ego thing because everyone knew I was the main man in life insurance. So yeah, I know we're digressing a bit there, but the lesson from that is be self-aware enough to self-analyze and self-critique and make sure that you continue to progress in a way that you're comfortable with, right for you at your stage of life.
That's a good take. And then where can people find you? Where can people find the sales? It'll be out by the time this podcast is out.
It's coming out next Thursday. I don't know what the date is next Thursday, but next Thursday.
Sometime in September.
Yeah, 2023. So yeah, Instagram's Terry_Blackburn_property. LinkedIn, Facebook's the same. My website's terryblackburnproperty.com. Everything's on there. I'll be promoting the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So you'll find it somewhere. 2 books on Amazon, Be a Lion and The Power of Peas, and my podcast, Rags to Riches, on Audible, on Apple and
Spotify. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Right, everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like the video, comment your favourite part, and then if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.